Hello, good morning, everybody, or should I say good evening? We're at 12 o'clock, we're midday there. And welcome to our first session out of our 4-week nutrition series. So for anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Shannon McGowan and I'm the RETHINK Programme Executive at Business in the Community in Northern Ireland. So RETHINK is a programme, an initiative really, that started in April last year. And its main aim is to really increase resilience physically, mentally, socially within individuals and employees. So as part of that physical topic, I suppose, we have decided to do this 4-week nutrition program. And we're so lucky to have Jade Bradley from Restore Nutrition with us. And Jade's going to be here from all the 4 weeks. And it's Jade's program, really. Jade developed it herself. And Jade would usually be running in and sitting in on our resilience programs, and the feedback has always been amazing, really good feedback. And as I say, if anyone wants any more information on our resilience programs, it's a 6-week program, and we talk about all things nutrition, mental health, anxiety, mindfulness. There's lots of things in it. Just email me and I can, set you up with one of those. It's a free service as well. So we would usually have around 15 individuals per organisation within that. So if it's something that you're interested in as well, do get in contact with myself. Just keep an eye out as well on the Business in the Community website under the RETHINK section, because we've lots of workshops going on at the minute. Especially online, it's so easy now to reach a lot of people. So do keep an eye out on our website. We've lots of things going on there, and they're free. All of the RETHINK series are free, so that's a really good opportunity. I know that Jade has a jam-packed schedule for us today, so I will not take any more of our time. If you do have any questions or concerns, please just write them into the wee chat box. And we will try and get as much questions answered as possible. But without further ado, I hope you really enjoyed today. If you have to leave at any time or anything, this is going to be recorded, and just email me and I can send you out the recording as well, alongside the slides. But without further ado, I would love to introduce you then to Jade Bradley. Jade, how are you?
Thank you, Shannon. Thanks so much, and lovely to be back on. And like you said, with a other program, I love contributing to it, but this is great because it's focusing solely on our nutrition and our hydration and our lifestyle habits around supporting stress and health and well-being. So it's great to get going. So I can start now and make sure that we get everything covered and the hour.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. So basically the aim of this program is to educate you on the pillars of nutrition and to empower you to make habit changes that support your health and well-being. So this isn't a quick fix, but a long-term approach to your diet and lifestyle, which is aimed to support things like your energy levels, your weight management, digestive health, and your overall health and well-being. So over the course of this 4-week program, we'll delve into topics like how we can reduce our processed food intake, increase our whole food intake, and to help, reduce stress levels with different lifestyle changes. So it's all about a holistic approach. It's about doing incorporating all of these pillars of health and well-being that can make long-lasting changes in your life. So first of all, we're going to get started with this session and dive in to learn more about water and fluid intake. So excuse the pun there, I couldn't help myself with the diving in. But, a lot of people are looking for a magic pill or a quick fix to lose weight or to improve energy levels, for example. And the fact of the matter is that if you don't have the basics covered, you're going to struggle. This is why I'm going to cover all bases with regards to our water and fluid intake this week. It's an essential pillar that's required to support our health. So I'll get started. So whenever I was young, my mom said I was always asking why. Why are we doing this? Why is that like that? And I'm still the same. So I like to know the reasons why I should do something. And I've carried this ethos through to my nutrition practice. So I've seen the best results with clients and groups that have an understanding of how nutrition and lifestyle change affects their bodies. So this approach allows you to make informed decisions based on how you feel and what works best for you. So keeping with this theme this week, we'll be covering everything relating to fluid intake, like what actually goes towards our daily water intake, why it's important to drink water, how much we should drink, and even how much we should pee. I know it's a random question, but I do get asked it quite a lot, so I thought I would cover it. Hidden calories in drinks, artificial sweeteners that we want to avoid, and I even have you covered if water is not your favorite drink. So what counts towards your water intake? So this might sound like a really silly question. The reason why I like to clear this up is because there's a lot of conflicting evidence out there from lots of different bodies, and it can get really confusing. So for example, we can be advised that caffeinated drinks can go towards our water intake, where myself as a nutritional therapist, I don't agree with this. So quite simply, water is water. Plain water, sparkling water, or herbal tea. These provide our body with hydration. Some fruits and veg with high water content can also help to hydrate us. So intake doesn't include fruit juices and milk. This can differ depending on the type of these that you consume. Some of them will for sure have some water in there, like semi-skim milk has got water where full fat milk doesn't really have much water in it. However, the amounts are menial and not the same as having a glass of water. So you also have to have the added consideration of added refined sugars and sweeteners with concentrated fruit juices. So before I go on as well too, you can put questions in through the chat function, and I will check in with Shannon as we go throughout the session if there are any questions. And I do encourage you to just ask any questions. We'll follow them. We'll follow up with them as we go through the session, and I'll give you an opportunity at the end as well for a bit of a Q&A. So with caffeine, water intake, as I said, doesn't include our caffeinated drinks. So our caffeinated tea, coffee, fizzy drinks, or energy drinks. So these contain caffeine, which is dehydrating. To the body, it has the opposite effect of water. So essentially, every caffeinated drink you consume is deducting one of your glasses of water. An easy way to balance this out is to drink a glass of water for every caffeinated drink that you consume. So if you have a cup of tea or coffee, follow it up with an extra glass of water. If you've ever been on holidays to places like Italy or Spain, they give you a coffee and then they give you a water. And this is part of the reason why they do that, because they understand the dehydrating effects of caffeine and advise people and encourage them to follow up with a glass of water. The diuretic effects of caffeinated drinks you experience will depend on the quantity that you consume on a daily basis. So basically, the more you consume, the more you will have the diuretic effects. So if you have one or two, the effects will be lesser than if you're drinking them excessively throughout the day. Keeping in mind that there are beneficial effects of caffeine for some people. So I say some people because everybody is different. There's no one size fits all solution for diet and lifestyle. It's completely unique to each person. So although we are covering general nutrition and lifestyle tips with this program, they can be altered and adapted for each and every one of you. So it is really, really important that you do listen to your body. Some people can metabolize caffeine better than others and feel okay when they have a coffee, where others don't. I personally am in the category where I don't really metabolize caffeine well. It's always made me feel a bit jittery and nauseous. Even a green tea wouldn't really affect me really well. So, it suits me better to have none at all. And that's me listening to my body and just taking the cues from what is best for me. So it has a personal approach. Some research has shown that caffeine consumed in small amounts may reduce the likelihood of developing conditions such as type 2 diabetes, stroke, and some neurological disorders such as depression, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. However, do keep in mind that caffeine does simulate our fight or flight response, our stress response, which puts our nervous system into high alert, as if we were a caveman, cavewoman fleeing from a saber-toothed tiger. So this is not the response that we want when we're relaxing at home, when we're doing our emails, when we're watching TV, and especially if we are already stressed. So I would say if you're already feeling stressed, be mindful of your caffeine intake, especially if your sleep is disrupted. So if you have issues falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up feeling refreshed, then I urge you to seriously consider your caffeine intake. So the body can take 12 hours to metabolize caffeine. So that 4 p.m. cup of tea or latte could affect your sleep cycle, your quality and quantity of sleep. So I would like you to be aware that managing sleep is crucial to supporting so many processes in the body, such as our ability to deal with stress, mood management, digestion, and metabolism, which is so important for weight management. So first, mini task. So as we are going to go throughout these sessions, I am going to give you habit forming tasks throughout the 4 weeks, because it's all well and good learning about these things in a 1 hour session, but you need to put in the work yourself on a day-to-day basis. And this is where we're going to have some accountability for making some changes that can help to support your energy levels, you know, support weight management, support your sleep, support your stress levels, your health, your well-being. So the first one is a mini task. We do have another task with regards to our fluid intake. So I want you to aim to have your caffeine in the earlier part of the day for the next week. So ideally, we will aim for a 12 p.m. cutoff point for caffeine. Now, before you scream and think that I'm mental, ideally, because of that 12-hour period that it can take to metabolize caffeine, it is best for us to consume our caffeine in the morning, which gives our body the opportunity to metabolize it throughout the day and not affect your sleep. So it's important to be mindful of where you're starting out. If you're currently drinking tea or coffee right up until you go to bed, then give yourself a cutoff point of around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Then keep working towards the 12 p.m. mark. But essentially, I want you to shave some hours off throughout the day with your caffeine intake and aim to have it in the earlier part of the day. So it's best for everybody to recognize, you know, where you're starting off, making manageable and consistent changes that will allow you to get to the end goal without feeling like quitting before you get there. So there's no point in, you know, if you're consuming caffeine right up until you go to bed and then you try to do it before 12 and maybe you do it for a couple of days and then you don't sustain it. It's important to make incremental habitual changes. We as human beings prefer it to be like this. It allows us to adapt and get used to those changes. So one thing you could do is you could make some support groups with your colleagues to spur each other on, discuss how you're finding implementing the things that we're talking about over the course of this program. So I'll just check in with Shannon and see if we've got any questions. How are we going, Shannon? Have we got any questions at the minute with regards to what we've talked about?
He had no questions yet. I assume there'll be a bit of fear around the task.
Oh, I know I dropped the caffeine bomb. So it's one that I think a lot of people don't really realize how many processes it can affect in the body, and also how dependent we can get on caffeine for our energy throughout the day. So caffeine is such an important one to be aware of, and that's why I wanted to take, you know, this whole session to look at fluid intake and hydration, because, you know, we have to address caffeine, we have to address, you know, our hydration, our water intake, other liquids, alcohol, calories around that. So there's lots to get, you know, crammed in, and it's important that we cover all these things off. So hopefully everything's making sense so far.
Absolutely. Jade, there's just a question. What about decaf tea?
Yeah, so decaf is okay. It has got a small amount of caffeine in it, but it's not the beast that normal, you know, caffeinated drinks are. But as we do go on throughout the session, I'm going to give other alternatives to fluid intake, you know, teas and and things like that. So yeah, decaf is good. It doesn't have anywhere near as much caffeine in it as caffeinated. So you're good to continue on with that.
And then there's just a question as well. How many cups of coffee would you classify as too much?
Like realistically, you shouldn't be really drinking any more than 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day max. That would be, yeah, I would say 2 would be you know, and if you're realistically in an ideal world, if you're having your coffee before 12 o'clock, like how many cups of coffee are you going to have before 12 o'clock whenever you're not, you know, just dependent on that coffee for a full sense of energy. Like, you should be eating in that time. That should give you natural energy. You know, so I would say 2 or 3 cups max would be probably ideal. I don't think you should really need more than that.
There's just a question as well. Is diluted juice counted towards your daily fluid intake? I know you're going to talk a wee bit more about that anyway, but
that's a good question. Hold that thought. We will come back to that. So you're ahead of the game, but yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Perfect. That's all the questions for now, Jade. Thank you.
Happy days, right? Grand. So let's start on. So why is it important to drink water? So, you know, going back to that thing of my always asking the whys, you know, I think it allows things to click in our brains easier when we know why we should actually do something. So, you know, if I tell you now that water is a building block for neurotransmitters, which are little chemical messengers that work in the body and are really, really important for supporting our mood, our mental health, and our well-being. One of those being serotonin, which is, you know, our good mood neurotransmitter. So water's a building block of that. If I told you that if you're not drinking enough water, it can affect your ability to produce these neurotransmitters because you're taking away one of those building blocks. Then when you're having a day where you're more stressed and say you're, you know, tearing your hair out, you're at your laptop, you're, you know, typing furiously, whatever it is you're doing, and then you realize that you haven't drunk any water, well, that's one simple thing that you can do. Not saying that that's going to take away the stresses of your work or what you're doing, or any of the other stressors that you're experiencing, but it's one thing that will help you. It's one thing that's in your control. So it's one thing that we really want to try and incorporate as a habit. So that's one thing. It's really, really important for, you know, supporting our mental health, our well-being, supporting those neurotransmitters. And, you know, it's also really important for our digestive system, our gut motility, especially for people who experience any symptoms of constipation. I would really, really advise you to be mindful of your water intake. Make sure you're getting enough. Follow these steps that we are, you know, talking through today. Increasing water intake is something that can really help to support regulation of stools. So, you know, also water is one of the main fuel sources for our brain. Our brain is made up of a lot of water. So, you know, if we're dehydrated, our brains are dehydrated, it can cause brain fog, memory and concentration issues. You know, those are just a few things, a few pillars of why it is important to drink water. So water also supports our body's detoxification. So this will support our liver and our kidney function. It's extremely important that we consider the toxic load that we deal with on a daily basis. So toxins that we can encounter every day include our processed foods, medications, alcohol, cigarettes, pollution from cars and factories. So our bodies have to detoxify all of these, and water is one of the simplest ways that we can help to support detoxification. So we will talk a bit more about toxic load in next week's workshop when we talk about processed foods, ultra processed foods, the effects they have on the body. So alcohol is another liquid that we want to be mindful of our intake. It is a diuretic and can cause you to become dehydrated very quickly. Being mindful of the quantity you consume is important due to these effects, and also because of the empty calorie content of alcohol, especially if you're trying to lose weight. So not forgetting the detrimental effects excessive drinking and binge drinking have on our gut health, our gut bacterial balance. Outside of these important functions, water is really important to support our physical and mental health, you know, including things like gut issues, hormonal imbalances, reproductive issues, diabetes, and thyroid issues, and that's just to name a few. I could go on. So this is just a quick question. So our recommended daily allowance of sugar for a day is 30 grams. So how much sugar do you think is in one can of Coke? You can put the answers in the chat. If people want to fire a few in now, we can see what people are thinking, and then I can tell you the answer back again then.
We have 9 grams here and 12.
And don't be afraid to put in deep, like, don't be afraid just to make a guess, because yeah. So
100
9, 12,
grams,
100.
20, 16, 200.
Right, so that's a good range of answers. A can of Coke has, an adult's daily allowance of sugar for a day is 30 grams, a child's is 24 grams. A can of Coke has got 39 grams of sugar, so that's nearly a third over an adult's recommended daily allowance of sugar for a day. So take that into account for a child, like if they're consuming multiple cans of fuzzy drinks throughout the day, it's no wonder that they can, get hyper and they can be badly behaved and things like that, because the sugar is just like causing so much excess energy. So the average can of sugar sweetened fuzzy drink contains around 150 calories, and there are no nutritional benefits to the body with this intake. So I think that's just a good little kind of thing to keep in mind, because when we're drinking something, we're not necessarily thinking about the sugar content or the calorie content, and like we want to look at things in sense of the nutritional value and benefit that they bring to the body. And this product, not just Coke, all like kind of sugary sweetened fuzzy drinks, they don't have any nutritional benefit for the body. So artificial sweeteners. Some commonly used artificial sweeteners include saccharin, sulfame, aspartame, which a lot of people might have heard of already, neotame, and sucralose. So the main question I get asked a lot is it better to switch to a sugar-free version of a fuzzy drink? So there are a few things to be aware of with this. So a lot of the time we can be led to believe that because the diet fuzzy drinks don't have a calorie intake, they're okay to drink in abundance. But this isn't the case. First of all, artificial sweeteners are irritating to the gut. So, there's something we want to reduce or eliminate our intake of to help support optimum gut function. So some studies have shown them to be addictive. So the more we consume them, the more we crave them. They could also make us crave more sweet processed foods and favor them over healthy choices. It's also been shown that they can change our taste receptors because of their sweetness. They can affect our ability to taste the sweetness with natural sugars like fruits, and also affect our ability to find other healthy foods like vegetables palatable. So one research study showed that participants that consume more than 21 diet drinks a week, now I know that's a lot, but it has a reality for some people. They were twice as likely to be overweight or obese. So, going for the diet drink doesn't always necessarily mean it's a great choice, because, all of those things, it can make us crave more sugars, can affect our taste receptors. So realistically, there's something that we want to greatly reduce and eliminate with our fluid intake. So this is just a little visual representation of some alcoholic drinks and their food equivalent in calorie content. So at the top of the leaderboard, we have, a pina colada cocktail. It's equivalent to a Big Mac burger and 644 calories. So, this is just giving us a visual representation of the amount of calories that we can consume through liquids, alcohol in particular with this one. Then we've got an alco pop that's equivalent to a slice of pizza. So essentially, if somebody was sitting down to have 6 of them, maybe they wouldn't realize that they were having the equivalent to 6 slices of pizza. So then a pint of lager that's equivalent to a slice of chocolate cake and 180 calories. Then there's a large white wine that's equivalent to 4 fish fingers and 185 calories. At the bottom, there's a double vodka and tonic, which is equivalent to a chocolate custard donut and 143 calories. So bearing in mind that that's a double, and if it was a single, it would be half the amount of calories. So I just wanted to, highlight how easy it is to consume, calories through our fluid intake. And, I'm not being a total party pooper and trying to rain on your parade, but it is important to be mindful of alcohol intake, especially if you're trying to lose weight. I suggest sticking to a lower calorie option and having 2 or 3 over a week period to give you the best results and to manage your calorie intake through that. So how much water should we drink? It can be confusing to understand how much water we need to drink on a daily basis. Like the sources of hydration, there's a lot of different conflicting evidence out there. The NHS advises us to have between 6 to 8 glasses of water every day. However, some recent research has shown the ideal recommended daily intake of water for males for a day is 3,000 millilitres a day, which is equivalent to 3 litres. And for females, intake is 2,220 millilitres a day, which is nearly 2¼ litres. So this research has also shown that higher fluid intake than this does not have any other health benefits except in possibly preventing kidney stones, where there is a known issue with them. So that's our optimum, and we will talk a bit more about this as we go on, and when we talk about our challenge, because throughout this this program we are always going to be mindful of where we are starting off. So we're not going to say if you're currently drinking 1 glass of water a day that you need to, if you're a female, you need to drink 2¼ litres a day now, because realistically you will find that pretty hard to manage. So it's all about making the incremental changes, and I'll talk about how we can incorporate that as we go on a bit. So I hope you all appreciate the lovely the picture of me jumping out of the toilet. I quite enjoyed it, but quickly just I do get asked this question quite a lot, and the minimum amount a healthy person needs to pass urine is around 500 millilitres a day. A water intake of 500 mils will support this output, but this isn't optimum for our health. Realistically, we should pass urine in line with our fluid intake. If we're drinking more water, we will pass more urine. It's as simple as that. We should only express concern if we're passing urine excessively, which is not in line with our fluid intake. So if this is the case, then I do urge you to make an appointment with your GP to discuss your symptoms. Being mindful of the colour of your urine is another helpful marker to gauge if you're consuming enough water, and I will provide some supporting documents with this, alongside the task and a couple of little recipes. I'll give you a urine colour chart that you can refer to. So ideally we would prefer our urine to be light in colour. So this chart can help identify if you have any issues that maybe you need to get checked out by the doctor, or just to try and gauge if you need to drink more water. Shannon, how are we going with questions now? Have we got any more?
As per usual, Jade, we do have loads here. So one person has just asked that the haired milk is the best for hydration. Can you kind of advise on that?
Yes, so as I said, milk, I wouldn't put it towards the water intake. Semi-skim milk has got a small amount of water in it, but it's not the same as having a glass of water. So yeah, milk is a fluid that when you drink a good source of milk, then it's got calcium, it's got protein and stuff like that. But for water intake, I wouldn't class it as going towards your water intake.
Yes, perfect. Again, should we filter or tap water? And if so, is there a type of filter that you would recommend?
Good question. I've got it covered. We're going to talk about that a bit more now on the next slide, actually. So yeah.
Perfect. Someone's just asking about decaf coffee. Can you just kind of talk about how does it compare with normal coffee?
So it really does depend on the decaf coffee that you get. So realistically, decaf coffee is a more processed form of coffee. So it does go through different processes to remove caffeine from it. So it's always good to get a good quality decaf coffee. There's some that I recommend to clients that I can send to Shannon if you send her your details. So it's always going for a good quality, product. Yeah. So basically, it's something as well too. Like you wouldn't want to be drinking any more than 2 or 3 a day. Really, it's not like just because it's decaf, you just consume it all day long. You still want to be getting your water in there and stuff like that. So I can share a product that's a really nice product that's available online with Shannon if you're interested in a nice decaf coffee.
Brilliant, that'd be perfect. I know you answered this one actually. It's just talking about how bad zero versions of fizzy drinks are. But there was kind of a question around Diet Coke and if you had any tips on addressing an addiction to Diet Coke.
Yeah, I'll cover that as well too. Yeah, good question.
Brilliant. Can you drink too much water, Jade?
Yeah, you can, like, so I'm just going to talk a bit more about like the, like what water's made up of and what and its important. So electrolytes is one thing that's really important. If we're just drinking too much water, we can like actually like flush out electrolytes, which electrolytes contribute to like water balance in the body, nervous system function, muscle function. So yeah, you can drink too much water, and that's why you know sticking to the kind of guidelines of what is the kind of recommended intake for a day is good. So yeah, you can always have too much of good things as well too, and the same goes with water. You definitely can drink too much.
Brilliant. I'll just give you two more here, Jade, and then we'll get the rest at the end. So can you advise the per day meal for young children on the water intake? You might not.
That is something I will have to get back to you on. I'll write that down and I'll get back to you on it.
Brilliant. And then just Jade, does the amount of daily activity have an impact on how much water that you should be intaking?
Yeah, so essentially the more energy you're exerting, and if you are somebody who sweats more and stuff like that, you are going to naturally lose more water from your body. So yeah, definitely if you are doing more physical exercise, moving more, then you may need more water. So yeah, that's definitely a consideration to have as well too, for sure. It's just getting the balance right of not, you know, excessively drinking water. Like say for a male, it's 3,000 milliliters a day. We don't want to be looking and seeing that you're having 5,000 milliliters a day. But if you're a male and you drink 3,500 milliliters a day, and you're exercising quite a lot, you're active, and you're going to follow these tips that we've talked about. I'm going to talk a bit more about types of water we should drink, and being aware of electrolytes, balance and stuff like that. Then that's okay. Like, and it's going back to that thing of where it's different for each person. There's whenever it comes to diet, food and nutrition, there's no one size fits all. It is really personal to each person. And that's why we need to listen to your bodies. These are guidelines, and these are really good baseline tips. But it's about seeing what makes you physically feel good. Everybody's got different imbalances going on. People might require more water at a certain stage if they have been really dehydrated for a period of time, or it's just, there's so many things to consider personally. So it's just about doing these things and seeing how it fits for you, and what feels good, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. Jade, I know there's more questions, but I think that you're going to cover them in the next few slides, so I'll leave those to the next question time.
Happy days. Thank you, Shannon. And we can do some time. We'll have some time for questions at the end as well too anyway, so we can cover anything off that I don't mention. Right, happy days. So I love the questions, are great, because it's a good indicator that the questions that you're asking are things that I've covered in this. So it just means that we can give you a bit more insight into the things that maybe you've wondered about. Ideally, we want to consume water that's filtered. I will provide some links in the notes for reasonable water filter options. So these can be priced anywhere from around 20 quid upwards. When we use one of these water filters, we're also cutting down on our plastic consumption, if we had been previously using bottled water, which isn't only good for the environment, but also good for our health. So, when we reduce our fluid intake from plastic bottles, I don't know if anybody's watched Seaspiracy at the minute. I actually haven't watched it yet, but, so many people are messaging me, telling me I need to watch it, about, our plastic consumption and how it's affecting the oceans and the environment. So, that's one thing that we can do to help reduce our plastic intake. So going back to, I digress there, but when we reduce our fluid intake from plastic bottles, we're reducing our intake of toxic chemicals, such as BPA, that can have a detrimental effect on lots of different processes in the body. You know, they're known as endocrine disruptors, can really have detrimental effects with, you know, hormonal conditions and diseases, you know, reproductive issues. Some cancers can be linked to, you know, endocrine disruptors, regulation, you know, hormone disruption and regulation. So they all have a direct effect on our mood, our energy levels, and even our sleep quality. So it is really important to manage these things. You know, preferably we want to avoid drinking bottled water from plastic bottles for all of those reasons. We can buy water from glass bottles, but it is more expensive. That's the only thing. If you buy bottled water, you can choose mineral water or spring water. So mineral water has got a higher natural mineral content, which means it can provide us with electrolytes that I just mentioned a while back there, like magnesium, potassium, calcium, and sodium. So these electrolytes are essential for maintaining water balance in the body and regulating muscle and nervous system function. So if we're drinking water from filters that don't have added electrolytes, or if we're having spring water or tap water, it might be necessary for us to add electrolytes to the water that we are drinking. So some natural foods that are rich in electrolytes that you can add to your water include citrus fruits, grated ginger, coconut water. Coconut water does have a bit of a higher sugar content, so that will all depend on, you know, if you're trying to lose weight and things like that. Pomegranate juice and sea salt, a good quality sea salt. So for example, you can mix 3 cups of water with juice from a lemon, a pinch of sea salt, and some grated ginger to make your own electrolyte water. It's not saying that you have to have all of your water throughout the day as an electrolyte water, but if you have a couple of your glasses of water throughout the day with, or you know, like even one of your bottles like this is an important one as well too, like having this as a visual reminder of, you know, on your desk or in your kitchen or wherever, your car, that's going to remind you to drink water. So you could have this with one of these a day with your electrolyte water. So tap water in Northern Ireland is of a better quality compared to some other regions, you know. However, loads of chemicals and nasties can creep into tap water. If you don't have a water filter initially, it is okay to go ahead and drink tap water. Realistically, it's better than not drinking any water at all. If you live in the Republic of Ireland, mainland UK, or any other country, I would recommend always using a water filter option due to the poor quality of water filtration systems. It's always a good idea to check with your local authority and ask them to check the quality of your water. So then they can tell you the mineral balance in your water, and then you can kind of, you know, adapt your electrolyte balance that you're adding to your water based on the quality of water that you're getting. I think that the Northern Ireland Water Board do offer services where they'll come out and do a sample of your water. So that could be something to consider as well. You can get home filtration systems, which can be priced from anything from, you know, say around £300 to £400 upwards to thousands. So those are things, you know, I know there are a couple of businesses locally that do that. Ideally, that's the gold standard of what we would like to have. And here's a fun fact for you: 64% of bottled water is actually tap water. So mind blown. Even better reason to get a filter. So I've just got a few more slides left anyway, and I think we've got loads of time left for questions, which is grand. So what happens if you don't like water? So don't worry if you're not the biggest fan of straight up water. I've got a couple of things that you can do to jazz up your water. You know, firstly, we can flavor plain water to suit your palate. So I don't recommend dilute cordials, as these normally have the artificial sweeteners added, you know, which are not good for gut health. The ones that we've talked about before, they are addictive. So the more that we have them, the more we crave them, and then they can change our taste receptors, and they can make us crave more actual sugar. So I suggest trying to use natural fruits to flavour your water, such as berries, lime, lemon, you know, any fruit that really tickles your fancy. There's lots of water diffuser bottles around there. You know, they've got the little column in the middle. That's for that exact purpose. You know, be mindful to choose a BPA-free option. You can also freeze fruits like berries, citrus fruits, kiwis, and lots more, and make, you know, little fruit ice cubes for your water. I will give you a recipe for lemon and ginger ice cubes that you can add to hot and cold water. You know, cucumber, fresh herbs like basil, ginger, these all work really, really nicely to flavour water. So it's just about finding your taste and going with that. So if you're adding citrus fruits or fruits to a lot of your water, it is best advised to use a reusable straw to protect your dental health and your teeth. If adding fruit feels like too much of a faff and you know that you won't bother doing it, then you could try getting these little cold infusions that you can buy in the supermarkets. Now, I know some supermarkets have got their own brand ones, and then there are other brands like Twinings. They've got them in loads of different flavors. Essentially, they are dried fruits that you can add to cold drinks to flavor them. So these don't have any artificial sweeteners in them. They are just straight up dried fruits. They're available in most supermarkets and shops. I'm not affiliated with any of them. They're just something that I find helps people to cut out the cordials and the fizzy drinks. And an even cheaper way to do this is by adding a fruity, caffeine-free tea bag, such as mixed berries or lemon and ginger or something like that to your water. That'll also give you a taste. If you like a fizzy drink, you know, don't worry. Somebody asked about anybody who's got is addicted to Diet Coke, which a lot of people are, because it should make sense now, join the dots with artificial sweeteners. You can try adding your fresh fruit, your cold infusion, or your herbal tea bag to some sparkling water. You know, this has worked really, really well for past clients of mine who have had a dependency with drinks like Diet Coke and Diet Fizzy drinks. It is just getting that adjustment period at the start to you know, the different flavor. You know, being mindful that off the shelf flavored sparkling water excuse me, is the same drill as the cordial. It's packed full of artificial sweeteners, so we prefer to avoid these. The annoying thing is that a lot of those fruit flavored sparkling waters can be bought for cheaper than normal sparkling water at times, which is just, it's weird, it's crazy. So also remembering that fizzy water is still a fizzy drink and can have a detrimental effect on your teeth, so you want to use a straw for this as well. Answering just another little tip for the question of somebody who is finding it hard to cut out Diet Coke and diet drinks. Cinnamon is a really good herb that helps us to manage cravings, especially sugar cravings. So, you know, you could have a bit of cinnamon in your porridge, even like putting cinnamon sticks. Now, I don't recommend you put cinnamon powder into drinks, but cinnamon sticks, you can put it into your water like this, and it can help to curb sugar cravings throughout the day. Just one thing that you could consider doing. So you can also include herbal teas to up your water intake, as they're all totally fine as long as they're uncaffeinated. So it should state on the box that they're caffeine free. Some of these are, you know, things like peppermint, lemon and ginger, mixed berries, mint, rooibos, otherwise known as redbush. There's some really nice ones of these. You can get like caramel infused ones. The only thing with the rooibos is you want to avoid having it around food because it can affect your absorption of iron. That's another thing with your caffeinated teas, coffees. You don't want to drink those around food at least half an hour before and after, because they can affect your absorption of minerals like iron and other nutrients. So you do want to avoid those around food. So I'm just going to cover the last couple of slides. This is the task for this week. So you've got your money task for the caffeine, and your first habit forming task for this Kickstart program will be the 7-day water challenge. So for every glass or bottle of water that you drink, mark off one of the water droplets and keep a note of your total water intake for the day. So I would like everyone to keep in mind a realistic target for increasing your water intake. So like I said, if you're only having one 1 or 2 glasses of water a day now, then we don't want you to, if you're female, don't want you to jump to 2¼ liters. Start off with a liter every day for the first week. Then continue to build on this and increase your intake by a few glasses each week until you reach your water intake goal. I am going to send this little PDF water challenge to Shannon, and she can send it out to you all along with some of the other documents, so that you can get involved with this. And as the other challenge, you can maybe start a little WhatsApp group or a little group chat or something with any of your colleagues who are also doing this as well, if you need a bit of moral support. So finally, remember to take off 1 of your glasses of water for every caffeinated drink you consume. So it could be a good idea to just do the chart in pencil so that you can rub out any caffeinated drinks that you have, take away your water intake. So over to you. Good luck with the water challenge. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining in today. Remind yourself that making changes to your diet and lifestyle can be daunting. It can be confusing, but once you have the correct tools and knowledge, it makes it a lot easier. So we will cover lots more over the coming weeks, and I look forward to working with you all. So we are going to cover toxins in the diet and how we can reduce processed food intake and what they actually do in the body next week. So we do have, these are my contact details as well. So you can take a little picture, you can add me on social media, or you can drop me an email if you've got any questions. And yeah, so any questions now? We have got 10 minutes that we can cover off anything that anybody might be asking.
I hope 10 minutes is enough, Jade. We got a wee list here, which is lovely. We love lists of questions.
It would be worse if we didn't have any, so that's good.
That's it. So just again, I know you covered a lot of this, but I suppose there's just so much information, so I suppose it's just a wee repeat. The thoughts on the sparkling bottled water mixed with diluted juice and its allowance for the day, what would you recommend for that?
So I realistically, there are diluted juices that you can get that have got less of the additives in them, but you're still taking into account the sugars and the artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. So if you could, so I'm just going to take a drink of water. So if you could try maybe the cold infusions or the fresh fruit and the sparkling water and see how you get on with that, because it will give you a similar taste. And I would say, maybe after a day or two of having it, you will get used to the flavour of it. So I would advise you try that.
Brilliant. Can you talk a wee bit about green tea and coffee bags? If they would be recommended.
So just green tea bags?
Yeah.
Yeah, so green tea is actually caffeinated as well too. So that will go towards your caffeine intake. So that would be the same as your black tea or your coffee. That would, it doesn't have as much caffeine in it, but it is still caffeinated, so it would still partially take away from your water intake. So that's why we say the uncaffeinated teas, like the ones that I listed, they actually fully go towards your water intake as a hot drink as well.
The lady's just written up, they're called green coffee bags. Have you ever heard of those?
Green coffee bags? No.
I've never actually seen them either. So.
I'll have to have a look at them. So what actually are they? Is it coffee or is it green? Is it just, maybe it's just like an environmentally friendly like coffee or something? I don't know. I've not heard of them actually.
No, we'll look into that one.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you on that.
No worries. How much water to rid body of water retention?
So it's hard when you say water retention, because there's a whole lot of other things to take into account than just water intake. It's taken into account, as with any physical or mental health condition, is needing to know the processed food intake, the how much veg you're eating, how much fruit you're eating, how balanced your diet is, salt intake, inflammation in the body, other processes that could be going on, like, heart issues, digestive issues. So, yeah, it's unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to give an answer for that specifically, because without knowing the medical history and what other things are going on with the person, then it's difficult to say an exact amount. But obviously, keep up with your optimum water intake, manage your caffeine intake, reduce your artificial sweeteners, and then like do all the other things that we're going to talk about, reducing processed food intake, increasing whole food intake, managing stress, all that. But without knowing a specific client kind of case study, I can't really give any more information than that.
As you say, they're all person-centered, really.
Exactly.
Fine. Is there a way to access the right levels of water that you should be taking personally? Is there?
There are a lot of different private tests that you can get. You can get loads of different, like, organic acid tests or stool tests, or like DNA tests and stuff like that. I haven't come across a test that will tell you the specific amount of water that you're supposed to drink as an individual, but I'm sure there is one out there, but I'm not aware of it.
And it would be actually very handy if there was one, wouldn't it? It'd be brilliant.
Definitely.
Okay. I know that you'll probably cover this in the next few sessions, Jade, but it's just around food intolerance tests and what your take is on them.
Yeah, so like with food intolerance tests, it depends on whether you're looking at a food allergy, which is an IgE reaction, or a food intolerance, which is IgG. So, and it's all immune system response to foods that we're eating. So obviously an allergy is one that can be life-threatening. It can cause anaphylaxis, and that's something that needs to be diagnosed with a consultant or a doctor. And realistically, if somebody's got an allergy, then they will probably end up needing medical attention at some point when they identify it. But with IgG testing, I do recommend for a lot of gut clients, actually, a lot of people who are reacting to foods, they're not really sure what they're reacting to. They feel bloated a lot of the time after they eat. A good first indicator to find out what foods are affecting you is an IgG. It's a finger prick blood test. I actually work with a lab in London and provide these tests to clients and to anybody who needs them. And they test 134 foods and drinks. And it can just, everybody's different. Like, I've seen such an array of results and any of these tests that are done. Obviously they're their main groups that a lot of people can react to, like dairy, gluten, wheat, soy, things like that. But and it goes back to that thing of like not labeling foods good and bad. Essentially we've got our unhealthier foods that we try to avoid, like the processed foods, but some fruit and vegetables might be causing you an issue at the minute because of the fermentable sugars in them and your gut bacterial balance and what's going on with that. So getting that test is a really good indicator to show you what could be triggering you. I've had clients who have had chronic autoimmune conditions like ulcerative colitis, and been through years of hospitalization, getting support, not knowing what was going on with them, and kind of just following like a piece of paper diet for years and still being in and out of hospital. And within a couple of weeks of doing the intolerance test and finding out the foods that were causing them issues, within a couple of weeks they felt like they had went into remission. They felt like they had before they were unwell, and they continued to do that. So it gives you a personalized view of what is going on with you. And that's realistically the Institute of Wellness worldwide has named like personalized nutrition as one of the main driving forces going forward in the current world that we live in. obviously in the middle of the pandemic and COVID and all that, like, you know, if we can find out exactly what's going on with individuals, and ideally we would want an integrated medical system where we've got, you know, nutrition professionals, you know, physical health professionals, and, you know, alternative medicine professionals working alongside, you know, our conventional medicine doctors. So yeah, that's a really long-winded answer, but yeah, I do support them, and there's definitely a time and place for them. And if anybody is interested in finding out more about them, they can drop me an email and I can send you more details on the tests that I can offer related to that.
Brilliant. You know, if you were a habit tea or coffee drinker, which one would you recommend is better, if there is a choice?
It all depends. Like, it depends on the person. And I know, like, you're going to hear me saying this a lot throughout, but you know, if you're a person who drinks coffee but then you feel jittery and you feel nervous and on edge after you drink it, then coffee's not going to be great for you. Like, for me, out of those options, if you say tea or coffee, what's a better option? Like, for me, it's herbal tea because it's uncaffeinated and it suits me best. But it's individual to the person, and like, if you're drinking any of them, like, have a good quality coffee, you know, and you know, do it in the right way, like having it in the earlier part of the day, listening to your body, how it's affecting your sleep, your stress levels, all that. I can't really say one or the other. Like, it just depends on the way that you do it and how you have it.
Yeah.
That,
I know you answered as well about the lemon and ginger.
yeah.
There was one person had actually asked about the electrolytes, what the ingredients were to add to the water. Was it lemon and ginger, or was it lemon and something?
Yeah, so like, say if you had like one of these bottles, which this is 700 mils, 600 mils, like, squeeze half a lemon. It depends, like, yeah, half a lemon, a little pinch of sea salt or rock salt or Himalayan salt or something like that, and a bit of grated ginger. And you can kind of mix them around, like I mentioned, coconut water, pomegranate juice. Like, if you Google electrolyte water, there's loads of different wee recipes on there. I am going to give you a recipe which is for ginger and lemon ice cubes. So what it is essentially just lemon and ginger blended together, and then you put them in little ice cubes. So then, instead of having to chop up your lemon and your ginger all the time, like, you can put the ice cube into some hot water, or you can put it into cold water. So essentially that'll be electrolyte water. And then if you put your pinch of salt in it, then it adds a bit of sodium, which also helps to contribute to the electrolyte water. So I'm going to send you a recipe, which is something that you can try after this.
Sounds lovely. Is that for then, would you recommend that for people that are very active, or people in general?
Yeah, so there's just been so much more, you know, like, my passion is the link between, you know, nutrition and mental health and well-being and food and mood. And you know, a lot of kind of doctors and researchers that I follow now talk about the importance of the electrolytes with supporting your brain health, but also feeding into how active you are. Yeah, because you're sweating more, you're probably going to lose, you know, if you're drinking more water, then you can flush out more electrolytes and stuff like that. So electrolytes are important for everybody, maybe a bit more important to make sure you're including them if you are more active. Yeah.
Brilliant. Again, what's your take on hot water and lemon in the morning time? Is there
hot water and lemon's great. It's adding electrolytes to the water. Medium temperature water is best, like, so not like boiling hot water. You know, starting off your kind of digestive system. Really, medium temperature water is better generally, or room temperature. Like, a lot of cold drinks, you know, it's fine maybe if you want to drink them in a hot day and stuff like that, but room temperature or medium temperature is kind of optimal for the body. But yeah, lemon and water in the morning is brilliant.
Because you've actually, somebody else has actually asked what is better, like warm water or cold water.
Yeah, so medium temperature, room temperature is best.
Brilliant. Another one there, apple cider vinegar. Would you recommend adding that to water, and what are the benefits when you do add it?
So apple cider vinegar is basically something that helps to support production of stomach acid. So we want our stomach acid to be high in our digestive system to help support optimal digestion in the body. You know, a lot of different digestive issues can come from low stomach acid. You know, things like reflux, where you would think that's coming from high stomach acid, can actually be driven by low stomach acid because the digestive system isn't working as optimally as what it should. Apple cider vinegar can feed into supporting production of stomach acid. So that's why if you have apple cider vinegar, it's good to have it before your main meals. So also with apple cider vinegar, obviously it's really acidic. It's fine for our stomach environment, but our teeth, we would want to make sure we have it through a straw. But you know, some people you know, are okay to have just like starting off with a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You can work it up to maybe a capful, or maybe like, you know, 2 capfuls, depending on the tolerance level, but do it gradually. And depending on the taste, you can add, you know, like a squeeze of lemon or a bit of honey or something like that to make it more palatable for yourself. But yeah, apple cider vinegar before main meals is essentially something that helps to support production of stomach acid, which helps to support optimal digestive function as well.
And would you say before Jade rocket would be something similar?
So in Scandinavian countries, they actually, a lot of them eat like a bowl of rocket or like bitter veg, like artichoke or things like that, before they have their main meals. And the reason is because this naturally stimulates the vagus nerve, which stimulates the production of stomach acid. So they do that before the main meal. So like a small bowl of rocket, like before a main meal, it's a milder way of doing the same thing as what the apple cider vinegar does. And for people some people might need more support than just the apple cider vinegar, you know, like, so then like working along with different people, you know, and obviously when I recommend supplements, it's like whenever I know what's going on with the person in the background, any other medications, because even though you can buy supplements over the counter, they can still be contraindicated with medications. So you know, digestive enzymes or like hydrochloric acid support supplements, some people need even more support than the apple cider vinegar, depending on what they've got going on, how chronic their issues are, and things like that. So yeah, there's loads of different things to consider with that. There has been a lot of stuff out there about, you know, apple cider vinegar being, you know, promoting weight loss, and you know, it helps to melt away pounds and stuff like that. And I just think the thing that it really does is help your body to digest your food better and metabolize it better. So it's not really that it's like fat burning, like nothing is really fat burning other than you burning more calories than what you're eating. You know, so yeah, it's mainly about optimally supporting your digestive function.
Brilliant, thank you. You know, you talked a wee bit about the BPA-free water bottles. Are they okay to use as a water bottle?
Yeah, like you can get ones that are, you know, they're plastic and they're BPA free and stuff. Depends on what your view is on your plastic intake. You can get ones that are metal. You know, mine's is metal. This is stainless steel. You know, there are loads of different options on there. Like I know shops aren't open at the minute now, which is getting pretty annoying. But like places like TK Maxx have loads of different options for them. Even just Amazon. Going online, there are loads of different options, but you just want one that is like BPA free. Yeah.
I know, Jade, we're over time, but there are still questions, even just around the prebiotics for your gut health. But I think these are questions that will be covered within the series. There's again questions around intolerances and, you know, what are the best to buy. I know that you are going to cover that in your next few sessions, aren't you?
Say that again. Sorry, what was that?
Just about the intolerance testing. You'll probably talk more about them in the next sessions.
Yeah, so with anybody who wants to know any more about the intolerance tests, you can drop me an email privately, and my email is just there. and I can send you through, or drop me a message wherever is your best platform for doing it, and I can send you more details on that. Yeah, we are going to talk about, like, foods that can be like irritating. Look at, like, basically we're covering the main pillars in this program, which we want to have all these covered. And then, for some people, these 4 pillars, just say you don't really have a chronic thing. You have to remember with, like, chronic health conditions is think about how long you've been experiencing the issue, and then think about, you have to, like, restore your health, in an incremental long-term way. It's not going to happen overnight. So yeah, like, it's about, doing these 4 pillars might be enough for a person, but then somebody else, you might need to, say, get the food intolerance test. You might need a bit more one-to-one support, or you might need to, like, do a bit more of a deep dive into the things you're eating and how they're affecting your health and your well-being. But yeah, there's more tasks as we go along. I don't want to go too far ahead this week, because the main point of this is, for this first week, I need you to focus on your fluid intake, your water intake. You need to get this down. If you can't get this down, you're going to struggle to do the rest of the things, because water is so important for so many processes in the body. So is hydration. I don't want to go too far ahead, because that's kind of defeating the purpose of what we're trying to do. We will cover all these things as we go along, and, like, there'll be naturally a lot more questions from the other sessions as well. And then, yeah, but this week it's just important to start off with the caffeine intake, with the water intake, and your other fluid intake, and then build on from there.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Jade. I know that the questions will be covered, so I'm very confident that they will be covered. So if anyone's questions hasn't been, they will be within the next few sessions coming up. I will send everybody the documents and the slideshows and the recordings, because I know some people had a drop off there. That's perfect. Jade, do you want to give a wee bit of talk around what we'll be covering next week?
Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about, kind of a bit about that detoxification, detoxing, what it is, how it works in the body, water processed foods, ultra processed foods, toxins in our diet. So we're going to talk about a lot of them. I've got a few little stories that I like to tell around that. Throughout the rest of the sessions, I will tell a few little stories that I think put things into context. Yeah, so we're going to focus on that next week. And what the task for next week is going to kind of build on some of those questions you were asking. So it's kind of like the next step. And yeah, it will be really interesting. So then, like, what we're looking at doing is, supporting the water intake, fluid intake, looking at the, unhealthier foods that we're putting into your body that we can, naturally strip away, whilst then replenishing with more whole foods. And then looking at supporting our lifestyle, our sleep, and how we can help support stress and our health and well-being, through these 4 pillars. So it's kind of just a bit of a natural progression, but I'm sure there'll be, like, loads more questions, but I'm really excited to hear how everybody's going to get on with the the caffeine task and the water task next week as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take part, Jade. I've got my glasses beside me, but I haven't got them drank. So it's kind of knowing it, but doing it, and it's 2 different things.
Exactly. And just, like, if you fall off the wagon one day, like, just get back on the next day. Don't, punish yourself. And we're all going to have days where we might forget to drink as much water, or you might need an extra cup of coffee and stuff like that. But it's, just keep persevering with it. It's, like I said, these are long-term changes. It's not a quick fix. And, that's why it's important that we're doing it over the 4 weeks. And
Absolutely.
that you can, make the changes incrementally.
Yeah. Jade, thank you so much. And I know that we're over time, so thank you so much for answering those questions for us. I hope that everybody enjoyed, and I hope to see you next week. So it's the same link as you used this morning to get in next week. So thank you so much. See you next week, Jade.
Thank you. See everybody next week. Bye.